is a very up and down back. He's not really a sustainer. He's not really a grinder. He's a big playback, but he's not really a guy that gets hard yards. And this week he had some tough runs, but they need him to be that guy because they're not going to be ahead in games 27-10 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, as we thought, there's not much talent. All right, let's talk Eagles and Cowboys. I think Jalen Hurts has exploded as a talent. Many subscribe to the theory that it's mostly the people around him, the O-lines, the D-lines. So Gardner Minshew is, to me, has kind of a Baker Mayfield skill set, can move a little, can throw a little, but there's some talent here that you could win games with him. I wouldn't build around him. Can Gardner Minshew with his talent? Is there a massive gap between him and Hurts, or can they be effective moving the ball at all against Dallas's defense with Minshew?
Well, those are two separate questions. I think that there's a pretty significant talent gap there, but they can be effective moving the ball. This is a team with arguably the best offensive line in football.
Yes.
They've got Brown and Smith on the outside. They're going to get Goddard back this week, who's a top 5 tight end in this league. They've got good running backs. So what they will be missing, and it's significant, is the run game that involves Hurts. And when I say the run game that involves Hurts, I don't mean where he's running. Don't forget, he changes the way defenses have to play because of the run threat, whether he runs or not. So when he's in the gun, which he is almost all the time, Colin, you have to think zone read. You have to think quarterback power. You have to think quarterback draw. You have to be aware of all these design quarterback runs that impact how you line up and how you play. You're not going to have to think about any of those things with Gardner Minshew. So can Gardner Minshew execute the offense in a more conventional way? Yes, I believe he can. But there is a meaningful drop-off, not only in talent, but in how defenses prepare and have to play. And I think that's something that should not be overlooked at all.
Yeah. A little betting advice there for those of you who haven't. That's very interesting. I was saying this. We're in year 7 with Dak. They have the second most Pro Bowlers. Pretty profound run game. They have CeeDee Lamb has established himself as a go-to number 1. And in the 3 losses, Dak's completed 60% of his throws, passer rating in the 70, and like 6 touchdowns, 5 picks. I've never been in love with Dak. I like his intangibles more than his tangibles. But how is he playing football this year? I didn't think Jacksonville's loss was on him. How is he playing this year?
You know, I like Dak overall. I mean, I think Dak, when you watch him and study just him, he knows how to play quarterback. He's a pocket quarterback. He goes through progressions. He understands the offense. He knows where to go with the football. I think this year he's had some bouts of inaccuracy where the ball placement hasn't been as precise as it needs to be. You know, it's funny you mentioned CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is their number 1. I'm not sure CeeDee Lamb is one of those big-time number 1s the way we talk about other number 1s. And I think since Gallup has come back, he's not been the same guy. They don't really have a number 3.
Yeah.
You know, I think Schultz is a nice tight end, but not a special tight end. So I don't really think the Cowboys have a lot on the perimeter. So, you know, they obviously have 2 good backs, although Elliott is certainly not the back he was. The tape tells you that immediately. All you have to do is put the tape on. He does not move like he used to. Pollard's definitely got juice. But this team, to me, is not as talented on offense when you watch tape as I think the narrative is, Colin.
All right, Zach Wilson and the Jets against the Jags. So let's talk Jets. Zach threw for over 300 yards. Have you seen, since he was benched, did you see a little growth? Little growth.
Maybe a little. You know, it's funny. I finished watching that tape and I said to myself, this is snaps in which he has light athletic feet and the live loose arm with the easy ability to throw the football. That's evident. You know, that we knew that even before he came out. You know, the problem that he has, and it's going to need to be cleaned up or it's going to be a struggle every week, is he has significant ball placement issues, even on some completions. I mean, he just does not place the ball where it needs to be. And he is consistently, Colin, late on throws. He's a beat late. And he has to become quicker mentally. He has to become more precise. I think there's not the needed sync between his lower body and upper body when he delivers the football. So there's still a lot of work to do. That's why I said you would have liked to have seen him be at this point last year in his rookie year. but he's always going to make a few plays that get people excited. He doesn't make the easy plays, the
Right.
routine plays.
Yes.
And those are the plays that have to be made.
Yep. That is what we've said from day one. He misses the layups. You got to hit the layups before you shoot.
You got to hit the layups.
Yep. The great ones do. Okay. Trevor Lawrence, we're going to close with this. Eventually you'll get to the big play, but you know I loved him. I'm a little crazy, over the top. I would have picked him number 1 years ago. He's starting to play pretty well, Greg.
Yeah, you can see he's much more decisive, Colin. And I think now there's a good marriage brewing between the offensive scheme and Lawrence, because Lawrence is a long body, long-legged. You needed to speed him up. Just everything he needed to be quicker, and it is now. And you know what? The ball comes out, which tells you that he's far more confident in the scheme. He knows where to go with the football. You know, don't forget, Doug Peterson comes from the Andy Reid school. That's how he grew up in the game as a coach, even as a player. He was in Philly as a player. And he's been in that offense for basically his whole life. So he understands that offense, and that offense is really well schemed. But it shows up all the time, is he's a very good thrower on the run, Colin. That may be what the thing he does absolutely best, is throw the ball on the run. And actually that's where we go, you know, with the big play this week, because he was forced to throw the ball on the run on this touchdown that we're going to show, where he threw it to Zay Jones for, you know, a long touchdown of 59 yards. So this was last week against the Cowboys. This was not a designed movement play. He moved out of the pocket in response to pressure, and obviously you see the great throw. So what this is just a play action type shot play. He's under center, and I like under center play action a lot more than I like shotgun play action. So you're going to see the play action element. And then Zay Jones down below is number 1. He's the outside receiver on the trip side of the formation. And look at the corner, playing soft off coverage. And normally you don't get over the top of corners who are playing soft, but this is a double move. It's basically an out and go. And you can see the corner, Joseph, who ended up getting benched in this game, by the way. You see that he is beat. So now what we're going to do is take this back, and you're going to see Lawrence, because, as I said, this play was not meant for him to leave the pocket, but he's going to get pressure from the outside rusher, who's going to work inside against his right tackle, and he's going to force Lawrence to leave the pocket. And Lawrence does, and he's an excellent thrower on the move. I've talked to coaches who've coached him, and they say that's one of his absolute strengths, is that he can make throws on the move. And I think that's an element of his game that's really important, because Lawrence is a good thrower from the pocket, but he's not a special thrower. He's a good thrower. So now that he has this element to his game, that really enhances it. And I think you and I would probably agree that in this league now, your quarterback is going to have to make second reaction plays where he has to move due to pressure. And if you can't do that, it's tougher to play in the league.
Good stuff, Greg Cosell, NFL Films. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Colin.
The 2 takeaways I had in that segment: the Cowboys' offensive personnel is overvalued because they play for the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, he says, is not a number 1 when you look at elite number 1s. Schultz is a good tight end, but not special, not Travis Kelce level. Obviously, Zeke doesn't have the burst. The second thing